Chapter 3, Managing Complexity, Layers, Parenting, and Precomposing. Section 3.1, The Layer Stack Hierarchy, How Order Affects Visibility. Section 3.2, Parenting and Null Objects, Linking Elements for Unified Movement. Section 3.3, The Power of Precomposing, Grouping Layers for Cleaner Timelines. Section 3.4, Adjustment Layers, Applying Global Changes to Multiple Elements. In Chapter 2, we focused on getting things moving. You learned the Big 5 properties and set your first keyframes. It is an exciting moment when static assets finally start dancing across the screen. However, as you add more assets, text, backgrounds, shapes, and logos, you will notice something daunting happening at the bottom of your screen. Your timeline is becoming a skyscraper of layers. Scrolling up and down to find that one specific text layer can quickly kill your creative flow. This is the complexity wall that every motion designer hits. The difference between a frustrated beginner and a relaxed professional isn't just animation skill, it is organization. In this chapter, we are going to tame the timeline. We will look at how layers interact, how to control multiple objects with a single switch, and how to pack complex groups into neat little boxes. By the end of this, you won't just be an animator, you will be a project architect. 3.1 The Layer Stack Hierarchy, How Order Affects Visibility. The timeline panel in After Effects works on a very simple physical premise. It is a vertical stack. Think of your layers like a stack of transparency sheets, acetates, on an overhead projector. Whatever is at the top of the stack covers up whatever is underneath it. If you have a massive background layer sitting at position number 1, the very top, it will block visibility for every other layer below it. Figure, a high-resolution UI screenshot of the After Effects timeline panel focused on the layer stack. On the left, a split-screen comparison, side A shows a background layer at the top of the stack blocking a logo layer. Side B shows the logo layer dragged above the background, making it visible. Use bright red arrows to indicate the drag and drop motion. The interface should be dark mode, standard Adobe CC layout. Manipulating the order. To change which object appears in front, you simply click the layer name in the timeline and drag it up or down. You will see a thick blue line appear between layers, indicating where the layer will drop when you release the mouse. While dragging is intuitive, pros rarely use the mouse for this. It is faster to keep your hands on the keyboard. Use these shortcuts to move layers through the stack. Action Windows Shortcut Mac Shortcut. Label colors for sanity. When you have 30 layers that all look like gray bars, you are asking for a headache. To the left of every layer name is a small colored square, the label color. Clicking this square allows you to assign a specific color to that layer. I highly recommend developing a personal system immediately. For example, I always make my text layers orange, my backgrounds blue, and my logos green. This visual coding allows you to scan a timeline and instantly know where your assets are without reading a single name. Figure, close-up macro shot of the After Effects label color menu open. The mouse cursor is hovering over the orange selection. The timeline shows a distinct color-coded system. Text layers are orange, shape layers are blue, and footage is green. The image should convey organization and clarity. 3.2 Parenting and Null Objects, Linking Elements for Unified Movement. Imagine you are animating a car driving across the screen. The car consists of 3 layers, the body, the front wheel, and the back wheel. If you want the car to drive forward, you could set position keyframes for all 3 layers separately. But what if you need to change the timing later? You would have to adjust 3 sets of keyframes. That is tedious and prone to errors. This is where parenting saves the day. Parenting allows you to tell one layer, the child, to follow every move of another layer, the parent, while still keeping its own independence to rotate or scale. The pick whip. To link layers, we use the pick whip. It looks like a small spiral icon in the parent and link column of your timeline. Identify your parent layer, e.g., the car body. Find the child layer, e.g., the front wheel. Click and hold the spiral pick whip icon on the child layer. Drag the line that appears onto the parent layer and release. Figure, a detailed action shot of the Pickwhip tool in use. The cursor is dragging a blue line from a layer named wheel_frontal up to a layer named car_body. The spiral icon is highlighted. The visual style should be clean and technical, emphasizing the connection between the two layers. Now, when you move the car body, the wheels go with it automatically. However, and this is the best part, you can still rotate the wheels to make them spin. The child inherits the parent's position, scale, and rotation, but adds its own transformation on top of it. The magic of null objects. Sometimes, you want to control multiple objects that don't naturally belong to a single main layer. Or perhaps you want to move a group of text layers together without grouping them permanently. Enter the null object. A null object is an invisible layer. It has all the properties of a normal layer, position, scale, rotation, but it never renders in your final video. It is essentially a hidden handle or a controller. To create one, go to the top menu, Layer, New, a null object. Practical workflow, 1. Create a null object and name it controller. 2. Select all your text layers or graphic elements. 3. Use the Pickwhip to parent them all to the null. 4. Animate the null. Now, you have a single set of keyframes controlling the movement of 10 different layers. It keeps your timeline clean and makes revisions instant. Figure, diagram showing a null object acting as a puppet master. A red square outline represents the invisible null. Dotted lines connect it to 3 separate shape layers, a circle, a square, and a triangle. Arrows indicate motion. As the null moves right, all 3 shapes move right in unison. The background is a simplified AE grid. 3.3 The power of precomposing, grouping layers for cleaner timelines. As your project grows, you might build a complex logo animation that requires 20 layers of shapes and masks. Once that logo animation is done, having those 20 layers sitting in your main timeline is distracting. You need a container. In After Effects, this is called a precomposition, or precomp. Think of precomposing like putting files into a folder on your computer, or packing items into a suitcase. You take a bunch of loose layers, wrap them up, and they appear in your main timeline as a single layer. How to precompose? Select the layers you want to group, hold Shift or Ctrl+CMD to select multiple. Right-click on one of them and choose Precompose. Or press Ctrl+Shift+C. Name your new composition, e.g., logo_animation_comp. Make sure Move All Attributes into the new composition is checked. Figure, a screenshot of the Precompose dialog box in the center of the screen. The focus is on the name field where logo_build is typed. The radio button for Move All Attributes into the new composition is selected. The background shows the main interface slightly blurred to emphasize the modal window. Your 20 layers have now collapsed into one. If you double-click this new layer, After Effects opens a new tab showing you the contents inside. You can edit the insides anytime, then close the tab to return to your main assembly. Pro tip: precomposing is also essential when you want to apply an effect to a group of layers. You cannot drop a drop shadow effect onto 5 separate layers and expect them to cast shadows on each other correctly. By precomposing them first, you apply the shadow to the container, treating the group as one unified image. 3. For adjustment layers, applying global changes to multiple elements. We have discussed moving layers together, parenting, and grouping them, precomposing. But what if you want to change the look of everything at once, like making the whole video black and white, without nesting everything into a precomp? This is the job of an adjustment layer. An adjustment layer is a transparent sheet that forces any effect applied to it to trickle down onto every single layer sitting below it in the stack. To create one, Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. The rose-colored glasses effect. Imagine putting a pair of sunglasses over a camera lens. Everything the camera sees gets tinted. If you place an adjustment layer at the top of your timeline and apply the curves effect or Gaussian blur, every layer beneath it will become color-corrected or blurred. Figure, Cross-section visualization of an adjustment layer. The top layer is labeled Adjustment Layer, Blur Effect. Below it are 3 image layers. Arrows show the blurred effect projecting downward, affecting the images below. The visual style should be semi-transparent and glass-like to represent the filter concept. This is incredibly powerful for asterisk color grading, applying a final look to your entire animation. Asterisk glitch effects, distorting the entire screen for a few frames. Asterisk vignettes, darkening the edges of the complete composition. However, remember the hierarchy rule from section 3.1. An adjustment layer only affects what is below it. If you have a layer on top of the adjustment layer, it will remain unaffected. This allows you to selectively grade backgrounds while keeping your foreground text clean. Author's note: I remember my first aha moment with null objects. I was trying to animate a solar system and was manually keyframing planets orbiting a sun. The math was a nightmare. Once I learned to parent the planet to a null in the center and just rotate the null, the motion became perfect instantly. Managing complexity isn't the sexy part of motion design, but it is the foundation of professional work. A clean timeline leads to a clear mind, and a clear mind creates better animation. In the next chapter, we will finally dive into the toolbox of visual effects, exploring how to style, distort, and enhance the layers we have now so neatly organized. Figure Mind Map, a comprehensive mind map of After Effects organization techniques. Central node, managing complexity. For main branches: 1. Layer hierarchy, nodes, stack order, visual priority, label colors, keyboard shortcuts. 2. Parenting, nodes, parent-child relationship, pickwhip tool, null objects, unified transforms. 3. Precomposing, nodes, grouping layers, the suitcase analogy, attributes, nesting comps. 4. Adjustment layers, nodes, global effects, top-down logic, color grading, filters. The visual style should be clean, branching, and use icons for each major concept.